little bit closer into the mic.
Yeah, with these mics, I don't really know. Like I said, they're studio mics, so
Dude, these
like
are legit.
Yeah,
Like, you got these on Craigslist?
yeah. I mean, they're ones that like I saw online and was gonna get probably anyway, but then I saw them locally for kind of cheap, so I
Is it
just
some like failing musician?
yeah.
Some guy that.
No, well,
Well, my parents gave me all this money.
no,
and...
it was these older people who bought them for their church to like do like so much, and researching microphones and all this kind of stuff. Like so much of it is about recording audio for churches and stuff like that. It's so whatever.
Well, these are holy mics.
Yeah,
We want to thank Jesus for making this possible.
we can bless the mic.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, so I whipped this thing up that is gonna be pretty bad. Podcast. This is a podcast. Stephen Marks, unnamed podcast is live right now, but it's not live.
I think that's gold right there, man. Like, I'm glad you brought my name into it too. I didn't have to like be like edited into afterwards and Mark, you know.
That was so much more embarrassing than I thought it would be. Just going live, like I don't know. I'm like red in the face right now just because of that shit.
Well, I'm erect in the pants for that shit.
Yeah. So yeah, I think for this one we're gonna just kind of have to stumble through it, but we have to come up with a name and kind of figure out our focus. But
Sure.
I think it could be a good thing. So I thought of a couple of different topics that we could discuss. When you came in, you had kind of something to talk about. I don't know if you want to go to that, and then we can just skip right on to the dick and ball stuff or
Dick and
whatever.
balls. You know, whatever, you know.
I don't know. I think you would feel better if you got off your...
Get that shit off my chest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it out.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. So if you loosen that one, you can pull it forward. But just watch it because it's not taped
It's quite
down.
the cantilever.
Yeah. Well, you've got quite a cantilever, and it's not really weighted on the back, so just
Yeah, no, we're good.
keep in mind. If it tips towards your face, just try to catch it.
Yeah, don't let it land on the beer.
Yeah, preferably.
I used to be an usher at church, so I know how to manipulate these microphone stands.
Oh, really? Is that what they do?
Well, you know, instead of being bored off your mind, I'd try to do something.
Right. Well, okay,
Like, so they have, like, at least my parents' church, there's different tasks you can do. You could either work the soundboard, and that's what I did, you know, playing, like, the different hymns or fucking sounds or whatever.
I mean, that's so different from, like, my
I know,
church
it's not your
experience.
typical church, you know. People are coming off on the altar or stage, whatever you want to call it, podium, and, you know, everyone's giving their own little speeches, and I don't know if you really want to get into the whole Jehovah's Witness.
I mean, we can splash into it and stuff, but you know, like, because when everybody describes their church experiences and stuff to me, it's always so different because, you know, like I was part of like the Catholic Church, so it's like what you see on TV, sort of, except it was this weird Mexican Catholic church.
Everybody rise.
So yeah, you know, it's like it's very regimented, it's very traditional, except that, you know, most of it was in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. My parents never attempted to like get me to speak Spanish or anything like that. Not
Just
that they
doesn't make
know.
sense why such a white family would want to try to mix themselves into
well,
like a Hispanic.
but here you go though.
like-
It's because it's Catholic, and if you're in
What?
New Mexico,
So you can't be white Catholic?
well, I mean, you are. Like if we were in Boston, it'd be white as all fuck.
Yeah.
You know, where they're from, it's white, but here, everybody that's Catholic just about is Mexican.
Yeah.
So like that's just the Catholic Church, and you know my parents, you know, I mean it's Catholic. You don't switch teams if you're Catholic or whatever. You know what I mean?
Damn it.
So you know it's not like what I would consider. I mean, not that I'm not religious at all anymore, but or really ever. I always had a problem with it.
Yeah.
But you know, like you don't change gears. You don't become like a lighter version of Christian or whatever. You know
Isn't that
what
like
I mean?
what Presbyterian is and like Methodist?
I mean,
and
that's
like,
my impression of it. Like where everybody's kind of like, oh, we do this as a community. It's fun or whatever. Where like Catholicism is all about shame,
yeah.
guilt, and spanking your kids. When they behave, like because you were talking about like you're able to do jobs and do stuff that like in the Catholic Church that's just distracting from the hardcore religion,
The shaming, yeah. Making
like
you feel bad about yourself
yeah,
for
you're
having a
supposed
penis
to-
and a vagina.
Oh yeah, I mean, or just thinking about those things is just, whew. So you're supposed to be transfixed and just completely focused on what message is being drilled into your head, and it's like a 4-year cycle or something like that. So it's over and over and over and over and over, and it's just, oh god, it's just awful. It's repetitive. It's it's very traditional, like I said. So,
Yeah,
it
and
just
one of
beats
the
it into
things
you.
that really bothers me is the repetition. And I think it's just a essence of every religion. If you're a Muslim, you're gonna be praying every freaking morning. If it's Catholic, you're gonna be getting up, standing up, sitting down, and confessing your sins if you're that devout. And
Well, if you don't want to burn in eternal hell.
oh yes, God forbid, Mother Mary, blessed.
Yeah.
I don't know the prayer. I'm not Catholic.
Yeah, I mean, at least
In
they
el
like.
nombre del Padre,
Yeah,
and Spiritu Santi.
Blah, blah, blah,
I watched the
blah.
Boondock
I mean,
Saints.
Yeah, I mean, there are very few Latin churches anymore. They kind of dropped the Latin
Anything
thing back
less
in the
is
days,
just
but,
eternal hellfire.
I'm sure that there are people out there who believe that
Yeah.
in the Catholic faith. But
Well, going back
yeah.
to my experience, because I'm selfish.
yeah, because that's the whole point. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different duties. I guess like maybe one of the terms you could call it is usher, which I think most people will be familiar with. Where ushers were, you direct people coming in and
Sure.
sit here, whatever. But the church that my parents go to and the faith that they belong to, people are encouraged to participate in the discussion. There's a certain segments twice a week where there needs to do some preparation beforehand, and they ask them these very simple questions, and they raise their hand. Somebody with a microphone comes by, passes it to them, and then they say their comment.
Wait, this is during.
This is during church. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay. So
Good
today,
good thing they didn't have something like that for. I would have been spanked so hard.
well, Steve, they wouldn't let you in the doors, really.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, you don't get the microphone just by raising your hand. You have to be called on. So
It's a bit of a meritocracy.
Exactly. It's like class.
If you're in good standing with the congregation,
Yeah.
you're allowed to make a comment.
like me, if I raise my hand, everyone was like, "What the fuck
Yeah.
are you doing? You put your hand down, goddamn." But whatever.
Right. Well, probably not saying goddamn it.
Oh yeah.
Gosh darn it.
In their minds, they're saying, "Lord, smite he." Yeah. So there's different tasks you do. They also have quite a collection of articles and literature they pass out. They go door to door. So where do they get all that literature from?
Right.
Once a month, the main headquarters ships off a bunch of boxes to them, filled with all these magazines, Bibles, books, whatever.
From God.
From God. He wrote them himself. First, they were lightning struck on plates of steel that they
Right.
just have out, and
In a field,
and out in the field, and the very spiritual and holiest of holy men look at these lightning strikes and convert them into your daily magazines.
Circulars, yeah. With, I no doubt, inspirational quotes and paragraphs.
That's how you know this religion is the real
Is real.
one. You
Yeah.
know, like
well,
God.
that's like the hard part about being Catholic is, everything has already been written, and it's like, well, what about something new? I mean, has God been quiet all this time?
Yeah.
I find that frankly hard to believe. So
Well,
naturally,
I think the South Park episode does a really great job of explaining Mormonism, where, he's looking at these glow-in-the-dark tablets,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's reading them out of a hat, and then they write the entire Book of Mormon.
right?
Then the man who writes...
dum, dum, dum.
See, that's the soundbite you need right now.
Right? Yeah. If only we were that advanced yet.
Exactly.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, okay, so
Anyway,
so there's all this, but
digression
what
and
I
a half.
really, the meat of the issue, what I really want to get to is, you kind of came over and you were like, yeah, fuck this, I'm kind of in a bad mood because of my experience today. Like, tell me more about that.
Okay. Well, with the new year coming around, you try to reevaluate your situation and try to think of things that could go better or things that you want to do to maybe increase your quality of life. And I believe having a strong relationship with your family can never hurt.
Right.
Your family. That's where you come from. It's good to have someone to talk to because they pretty much have to. And if they have to, it's better when they have good things to say instead of like, nope, you're going to die. You're not my son. I regret having you, and so on and so forth. So,
They've really said stuff like that.
my mom's, radical to say the least. But
Wow.
I love her nevertheless. She's a very passionate woman, as she conveys it to me.
Sure.
I
You can at least appreciate that.
I can. And so, I want to try to change my life a little bit and be a little bit less selfish, give my parents back a little bit more because they're my parents, and I know that one way of giving back to them is by going to church with them. So, I went to church today for the first time in, I don't know, about a year or so. And I'm like, all right, whatever, let's do this. First of all, my parents weren't feeling too great, so I wasn't sure if they were going. Everyone's sick,
Right. As I am.
Yeah.
Apologize to anybody who's maybe going to listen to this.
The deep, sexy voice.
Yeah, and that awesome cough and the nasaliness. Get right up on the mic and get real sexy. Oh, God. Anyway,
so we ended up going to church. Get myself all fancy, and I think I wore pants that were a little bit too tight because my ass was looking nice. And everyone's like,
God does not appreciate man ass.
damn it. Fuck.
I know. It's a shame because he made it, but, whatever.
Yeah, but we're supposed to be ashamed of it. And I'm sure Jesus has a great man ass. He's always flaunting those abs.
Well, he wore basically a blanket
Yeah.
his entire life, so we don't really know. But I, like I said, being Catholic, part of being Catholic is having the most horrific crucifixes possible.
Yep.
So like the more devout, the more brutal it is. But
And
Jesus,
detailed of thorns going into his skull.
and blood and whatnot. The most, what I always took away from it though is like, man, Jesus was fucking ripped.
Right?
He always has abs. Always. Like, and like back then, people were pretty malnutrition. They probably didn't hit the gym too much, and they lived, a hard scrabble life, so you could be pretty cut. But he's not only like cut, like he is just ripped. Like he, he's probably like 5% body fat. Definitely does a lot of abs workouts. I would say that
he's got that
maybe
super healthy hair.
Oh
like
yeah,
super rich
it's
vitamin.
sparkling. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what supplements he's been taking.
Well, I mean, it's God. So,
but one thing, for his being as hairy and the facial hair and up above, he doesn't have that much body hair,
Oh yeah, he's totally he's clean cut. I mean, it's kind of what I try to be. Like I don't have Jesus's abs, but I'm working on it. And but the body hair thing, yeah, for sure.
See, you were granted that gift, whereas I have the body hair, but you don't have the facial
hair.
Well,
and that hate to be controversial, but it brings up another good point about Jesus was white, because there is not a brown person on the planet who has no body hair from the neck down.
You heard it here, folks. We are refuting the existence of Jesus right now. Or at least we're confirming that, Jesus is white.
I mean,
which means that Santa Claus is probably white too.
A lot of racist people have brought up that they think Jesus is white, and, they never point to any of the evidence that would really make sense, such as, look at that body hair. They never bring up the real valid points,
because those are the simple ones.
Yeah, and it because people just they don't look deeply, look closely at the clues, and until I see a crucifix from way back when.
With hairy Jesus.
Yeah, just gnarly,
pube hair. Just
because that's the other thing is they always have him like. Up on the cross with like this really
you could
like
see his
slinky.
V. His ab V, because he was ripped.
For sure.
Like if you pull it down a little bit, you'd see some shaft.
For sure. No pubes whatsoever. I don't know. I digress.
Okay.
So
Going on.
You're going to church
There's
to make your family
there's
happy.
loopholes in religious faith. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Going to church today. Sitting down. Whatever. I show up like 2 minutes before it starts. Find a seat. And it's a completely Spanish-speaking congregation. But for this congregation, it's more heavily populated with Cubans. Which is kind of interesting. You know, it's a little bit more of a entertaining accent than just like your normal standard Spanish. Cubans speak Cuban accent, which is nice in small doses, but a lot. It just gets really annoying, you know, like Jersey accents, you know, where it's like that's kind of funny, and I'm kind of turned on a little bit by it, but then I'm like, oh my god, like seriously, I don't know, maybe Jersey's not the right one, maybe like
I was
maybe
just
like
gonna say,
Alabama hick, you know, where like a really hot like Southern girl, you
like
know?
Daisy Duke.
Yeah, Daisy Duke, and they're hot too, man. They're hot.
Cubans, yeah.
Yeah, not the ones that go to church though. If you watch Bad Boys 2,
Love Bad Boys too.
Fuck yeah. Anyway, Cubans make it a little bit more entertaining. So within like the first,
minus their annoying accents.
like I said, small doses. You know?
Sure.
Small doses.
Just like every.
And then they start asking for food too.
God.
Anyway,
Minorities.
handouts.
We should point out here that Mark is minority as well. So
I am Mexicano.
Yeah.
My first language was probably Spanish.
Probably, but you don't know.
You don't know. Anywho, speaker goes up. He's from Santa Fe, you know, Mexican. And this is entirely in Spanish, so I admit maybe I'm not a very, you know, well exposed to Spanish speakers. So maybe I had trouble interpreting his Spanish into my comprehensive cognitive abilities, whatever.
You're saying his accent was so different from yours that you had trouble understanding.
I guess what I'm
him.
trying to say is that I'm not used to speaking a lot of Spanish, since the only person I speak Spanish with is my mom.
Right.
So maybe I wasn't translating his
Wait, do you ever
statement
get the feeling that maybe your mom doesn't actually speak Spanish and you've learned this like pseudo Spanish through the years,
yeah,
and
probably.
you know you've never really tested it that much, and anybody who actually speaks Spanish is just like, oh, you just speak Spanish like he's slow, you know, and they just don't want to say anything because they're nice people.
No, I speak English like I'm slow.
All right.
No, actually, my mom taught me a very different form of Spanish, because when I talk to all my Mexican friends, they're like, oh, híjole, we do this and this, and they all speak in these idioms. I have no fucking clue what they're talking about.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah.
Well, I think, you know, just like any language is, you know, depends on who you learn it from. Like if you learn to speak English from, you know, in America, and then you're dropped in the middle of, I don't know, I don't really know my English geography or language, but you know, there's like those dudes
like
that are like
England, or if you're in
sucking in
Ireland.
me bullocks, mate, you
Yeah,
know, and you're
and
just like, what the fuck did he just say? Because they have a whole different vocabulary of slang that you just have no idea about.
Yeah, there's no way I could really like have a meaningful conversation with someone in like Australia or something like that. I mean, we could like communicate, but we can't get on the same like level of closeness as
Right.
you know, all the
Fucking oath, mate.
Yes.
He's a sick cunt.
I know that word. I know that word pretty well.
100%.
Speaking about cunts, so this guy's giving his talk, and then he goes off on saying that the Ice Age never existed, and then he goes on to. I know there's a lot of movies that have been made, and this is all in Spanish, mind you. There's a lot of movies that have been made, and not that I'm telling people not to watch that movie, but you need to have a clear understanding of faith before you watch those Ice Age movies. And I'm like, wait, is he talking about the cartoons?
The cartoon
and I'm
Ice
like
Age.
looking like a dumbass because I'm trying to ask my sister and my dad, is he talking about the cartoons? Like, seriously, we're in church right now. I was gonna think he's like saying the Passion of the Christ or the new Noah's Ark movie that's coming out with Russell Crowe, which looks amazing. By the way,
I generally dislike religious movies, but it's
got
Crow
Russell.
Dog,
Yeah,
you know, like the only
Crow Dog.
right, the only way they could make that better is if somehow they made it like, I don't know, shit, I just lost who I was thinking of.
like Johnny Depp, Pirates of the
No,
Caribbean
that
type.
would be too much like box office bait. I'm trying to think. Shit.
If Mel Gibson
Jack Burton,
directed-
God damn it, Kurt Russell. Fuck, that was
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna go with
Kurt Russell would be fucking hilarious, Noah. Especially if he was like in the vein of, Snake Plissken or something like that.
I don't remember what Kurt Russell looks like, to tell you the truth.
Okay, here, let me.
But I
Google that
thought you were
shit.
gonna try to go with what's his name? The Burton, the guy that did The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Fucking Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. Like, what about a
I mean,
Tim Burton
if he-
twist on like Noah's Ark?
That would be. I don't even know what that would be like, but I would definitely be interested in watching it.
As you're pulling up Jack Burton,
Kurt Russell.
Kurt.
Like Big Trouble in Little China.
Hang on. Let me.
Yeah. Like, you ever watch Big Trouble Little China or anything like that? He was in Death Proof.
Oh shit! Yeah, Death Proof. Okay.
But have you ever seen Escape from L.A. or Escape from New York?
No.
Oh fuck. Dude.
Yeah, boxes all over the place.
Yeah, they're holding down the new carpet that I got here.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
very suave.
Yeah, very. It
Really sets the mood.
total.
The podcast mood.
Yeah, well,
If you only had like some joints and blunts going around, and maybe it'd be more of a.
I don't know.
Podcast
Maybe you can
environment.
work on that, but I feel like for the listener, maybe just a few beers is
All right.
best. I don't know. Anyway, because we're already going off the rails on this.
Well, that just kind of really made me skeptical for the entire hour and a half that I had to be sitting there.
Yeah.
So, once you make a statement like that, you just lose my interest immediately.
Right.
Like,
You're really only there to make your parents happy.
Yeah.
So that, you can have a good relationship with them, which I think is a very noble thing. Because for me, by the time that, because I was like literally and figuratively like beaten into going to church. And like when I finally was given the opportunity to break free, like I literally that moment stood up and walked out the doors, never to come back. And there's no amount of pleading or guilt that could ever get me to go back. And I think my parents have accepted that.
Well,
and anymore, I kind of like still have this anger towards them for like forcing me to go through it. Cause there was a time when I was a little kid. So the priests would always kind of give you like, they'd always see me like giving a stink eye and stuff like that. Just like, fuck this shit. Like I always had my bad attitude.
some devil eyes on you.
Yeah, I always had my bad attitude written across my face. And one priest came up to me, I was probably like 6, 7. And I don't remember exactly. I could ask my mom. She thinks it's kind of funny, but is also very sad about it. Where he asked, something about it. I don't know, something about church. And I said that I was going to build a bomb and throw it on the roof and blow up the
Wow.
church. So, very extreme
Wow.
view from back then. And he said, oh yeah, well, I'll build another church. And I said, oh yeah, well, a bomb is easier to build than a church, which is very true.
It
I mean,
is.
I was very,
Practical.
practical. Well, it's
And
like
destructive.
basically, I was a terrorist. I was a
Yeah,
religious terrorist at that time. But
But in the opposite sense of today's terrorism.
well, like I felt I was being persecuted, and I wanted to act out accordingly.
Yeah.
I don't know, but and other priests, through the years, we'd go to like different Catholic churches, and they'd be closer or more white,
try to start fresh.
whiter. My
Maybe
parents
this
would
will
feel
have a
little-
better environment on little Steve.
Yeah, not exactly. I don't
Yeah.
think my parents really gave a shit about that.
Yeah.
But it was more about what they liked and the times and stuff. They're when it comes down to it,
Practicality.
middle class white people. Oh well, this is more convenient. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, it's before the game starts.
Yeah, kind of. Except for the game doesn't matter. It's just I don't like to get up so early or
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
But yeah, you'd give them a dirty looks and stuff, and they'd go by and they'd like make faces back, and I'd just be like, man, fuck you for you patronizing me, Anyway, lately it's kind of come out in this thing, you get together as a family, and I don't know, I find it, really weird that they try to, get us to pray at the dinner table still, and it's something that they're all into. Most of my siblings, they've, they had brief moments where they were embracing the religion and stuff like that, and then they've all kind of eventually followed suit with me and just kind of abandoned it. But they still are more, it's not their issue like it is for me.
Yeah.
So
They're not as skeptical with the teachings.
Yeah, they're just like, they could take it or leave it. Whereas I am very opposed to it.
Yeah.
Just that's, my nature. I have very strong opinions about everything I have an opinion on. And I have an opinion on everything.
Great.
So
that's why we're doing a podcast.
Exactly. Well, that's part of why people have been telling me, like, shut up. I don't want to hear it. Put it on the podcast so I can fast forward. Yeah. So, like lately, when we get together as a family over the Christmas break, had Christmas dinner, and this is something I've been doing a lot, where they go to pray, and of course it's very regimented, very Catholic, so it's bless us the Lord and these are gifts which we are about to receive from my bounty through Christ, blah 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 blah.
Wow.
It's got this whole spiel, but they're praying and they're kind of looking down, and they you tent your hands, not like a together thing, it's like a crossing your fingers praying kind of thing. It's like, yeah,
I feel like you've been hit for not properly holding your hands during prayer.
You'd be correct. So what I do is I make the blood gang sign.
Oh, nice.
And hold it down at my, around my chest, and I look down at it contemplatively.
Yeah.
And my
'cause that's where your faith really lies in.
Well, it's just I can't help but poke at them, because it's like, look, this is what you believe in, and I believe that I'm a goddamn American. It's free speech. I can make fun of this if I want. That's my prerogative.
Yeah.
It's your prerogative to believe what you want and try to raise your kids in the way that you feel like. But I'm a goddamn adult now, and I'm an adult American.
I totally understand.
So I can so I can just do this as like a sign of like, fuck this, and fuck every attempt you had at raising me this way. And they, like, my siblings, of course, laugh.
But is there any bitterness from your parents and animosity for, you're obviously saying fuck you to what they believe in?
Yeah. I mean, I think the look, they're like, I don't think it's so much of like they're angry because I'm disrespecting their religion so much as it's like they're angry that it's more of like a personal insult, like, look at you believe in this stupid thing and I'm making fun of it.
But it's insulting. So how do they react to that? Do they?
Or
they just move on.
Yeah, they move on. They know better than to like go at me, because I'll fight it to the end. And, and it's just, and I mean, the way I am is totally how I was brought up. Obviously, like, I wouldn't act that way and be able to like think I could get away with it if they didn't raise me to be so damn stubborn. They were super stubborn.
So they blame themselves and they accept it. They just kind of move on. Maybe not
Probably.
so much blame themselves, but they have anticipated it and.
Well,
they've
definitely softened over the years. Like a wind on a stone. I've eroded their
defenses.
I've taken their sharp edges off because they just can't, constantly fight with me.
No, they can't instill those values that they hold so dear.
Yeah.
But what happens, my family is the same way, I've never been one to push buttons. To a certain extent I have, but religion is just something that we just kind of like accept in my family,
Yeah.
Because it's so personal to everyone. It's something they're constantly working on. And, they consider it a direct insult to be insulting towards religion,
Sure.
So
I think most people are.
It's a topic you
feel that way.
tiptoe around. And until recently, I'm like, hey, I hate this shit because it's restricting and I have to deny who I am in order to follow those ideals. So,
well, that's
there's
the thing.
A lot of built-up tension within
do you think those
for religion.
Do they feel that those ideals make their lives better?
Yeah,
because like
totally. Because that's all they have going on for them.
That's the big disconnect that I have a lot of times with religion, is just that you don't like, if you want to be a good person. Microphone's
tipping over here.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, you can maybe rotate it so that.
Well,
it's
I could probably do something like that.
Anyhow, like my big problem is that usually, like, people say, oh, it makes me a better person, it helps me be a better person, this and that, but like, what's stopping you from doing that and being a better person for yourself? Just cut the bullshit, cut the oh, the Stone Age or the Ice
There's
Age
no
or
Ice
whatever
Age.
never existed and all this stuff. Like, why is that even a part of it?
Yeah.
Like, arguing about facts doesn't bring you closer to being a
Not at
better
all.
person. It doesn't, so it's just kind of like it's that part of religion that I disagree
But
with.
you have to understand
And
that
that's
part
so
of religion,
much of religion.
a big part of religion is propaganda as well. And they're like,
Right.
look, our book is better than science. You know?
Right.
And look at all these people wasting money and effort and energy. They could just accept it.
Right. Well,
Because it's in the book.
The way I see it is it's like, they took a stance at one point and they obviously didn't research it or anything
No.
like that, but they can't go back. It's like churches to me are just human stubbornness. Like they don't,
that is
they-
like the perfect way
that's
to put it.
All it is
Yeah.
it's just like, I don't want to be shown that I'm wrong. So fuck your idea. Like that's
You just don't believe in
you're-
God.
Yeah, you're just not it's a
Your
test.
faith is
It's like
faulty.
it's a lie built upon something that probably at one point was like, yeah, to the best of our knowledge, and we're the authority, so what we say is correct, and yeah, just don't worry about it, move on with your life. But then later on down the road, when that's completely proven to be wrong, they're like they're too, because they said, oh well, God told us, so
Yeah.
they
Are you saying that God is wrong?
no,
Yes, we're
what I'm
saying
saying,
that God is fucking wrong.
no, what I'm saying is that men or people made decisions at one point and they're too proud to say, well, that was fucking stupid, we were wrong about that.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about science, is because that community says, okay, well, here's our theory, here's what we think. And some other scientist can come up and be like, well, that's fucking wrong, and here's why.
Yeah.
And everybody goes, wow,
That's
cool.
right. Yeah. Sorry,
And
you were wrong.
And
I was wrong.
because they never said, divinity told me
Yeah.
that this is 100% true, they're allowed to say, well, I was wrong, and not, it's just,
And it's
a
not
little
personal. You just move forward because
Exactly.
you're disconnected from the idea.
Well, and-
it's
yeah.
not just so engraved in your personality that you take it so deeply and you're
Right.
so hurt about
well, and
it.
and it's because they came up with their answer to a question with the best knowledge available, and when better information becomes available, they can utilize that and not have egg all over their face. And I don't know, we're going like way deep into something that's just
sure,
whatever.
and it's hard, because obviously we all know that religion has loopholes. You just can't refute that.
Right.
But like you said, human stubbornness. I think that's the root of it all. And they claim, we call it stubbornness. Some people call it faith.
Sure.
And if it makes your life a little bit more better to believe in God, to believe in something greater than you, then by all means, go ahead. Lie to yourself.
Yeah.
And who's to say that we're not lying to ourselves in one way or another? This month I'll turn it around and I'll put more effort into my workload and I'll do this and this and this. And, some people just try to devote their happiness and their optimism in different avenues and different pursuits, and whether it be your work, whether it be your creativity, your art, your spirituality, whatever makes you happy at the end of the day. And that's all it can be. And I respect that. I respect people's religion because, if I believe in something so strongly, I want to be respected as well.
Yeah. No, and I think, because I take such a hard stance against, what I see wrong with religion, people get it, mixed up that I hate religion or that I think anybody who's religious is stupid or anything like that. There's plenty of people that I know, that we both know, that are incredibly religious, and I think very highly of them because what they get out of it, I think, is valuable. They act in a way and treat other people in a way that is amazing.
Yeah.
And I think if that's what you get out of it, that's great. And they ignore all the, the bullshit, the global warming's not real because God wouldn't let that happen, or, whatever, or the ice age never happened. Like the denial part isn't part of their religion, isn't part of what they have. So, excuse me. So, ugh. So I have no problem with people being religious or believing in something. In fact, I think that that's great. I just think that when you use it and you focus on it to be an exclusive measure, where you exclude certain people because they're not like you, or
Kill people.
kill people or ignore facts, or just, there's a lot of ugliness that goes with it that wouldn't exist if it was just like a personal thing.
Yeah.
So,
And one of my other qualms about the discussion today was, at the very shallow level, his discussion is an argument, all right? And if you're giving an argument, especially one that you're presenting in front of an entire congregation, at least give a good freaking discussion, a good argument, a good speech.
Yeah.
And if you're laying down a groundwork to build your thesis on, your conclusion on, don't bring forward these arguments that you're trying to settle immediately and like, all right, let's make these assumptions and therefore God exists. And it's like, no, you can't just be overlooking everything.
right.
And maybe the Bible is a really good book, but you don't use it to contradict and to fight science. I think it would have been a lot more successful and a little bit more plausible of a discussion if he used science to complement the Bible.
Right.
Why can't they do that?
Like Scientology.
Exactly. Like aliens coming and depositing these spirits. No, that's about as much Scientology as I know.
Yeah.
But if you use...
Well, science is in the name, so I assume that they're intertwined perfectly.
Well, that's why Tom Cruise believes it.
Right.
Because he doesn't fuck around.
No, and yeah.
But, it just goes down to basic public speaking skills. You don't want to be giving these huge claims right off the bat without having anything to back it up, because then you're going to be spending your entire discussion trying to, back it up. So, on multiple levels, it was an unsuccessful religious experience. A, it was a faulty argument. B, it's fucking retarded.
Well, you were there, I think you were there for the right reasons, but, ultimately it was kind of doomed to failure because you don't really believe it.
I know, not at all, man. I don't believe it at all. And, it gives my parents peace of mind. And good for them.
It makes them, feel
It makes them feel like
and,
part of something, It gives you a community. It gives you people to share experiences with and share all the negativity that the outside world gives on you for believing such
ludicrous things.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, why a lot of those more extreme religions, their followers are so devout because, they get sort of persecuted, and questioned all the time. But when they're there, they can just be the people that they think that they are, or that they feel that they are. They can be that person, and they're fully accepted by a community of people who are like-minded. And who doesn't like to hang around people like them?
Definitely.
And that think like them. So, it's a very comforting thing. It's just, and that further drives a wedge between them and everybody else. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Not at all.
But it can go too far, obviously.
But I think that's part of the community. And as soon as you buy into it, you start diving deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And your normal friends that are outside of that community and your family that's outside of the community kind of see so many faults within it. So you automatically feel that persecution. You automatically feel that segregation. So you go towards that community even closer and closer. So it just kind of snowballs into this. And you're like, well, I better just keep on believing this because I've already kind of alienated myself.
Well, and I've always noticed that a lot of times churches have a more bullying attitude where, if you're not falling in line, they, are really, really kind of the worst people to you, instead of being accepting and, turning the other cheek or whatever, they're just like, no, you're blacklisted from the community. It's very petty. So, that's always been the issue with me is I've always thought, why is this group preaching so much tolerance and inclusion, yet if you don't fall in with them, they exclude you and you're I mean, there's nothing more I don't know, just when religious people decide that they don't like you or your lifestyle or whatever, There's no bigger bully.
Yeah,
than
because they
people
put
who
themselves
are-
on their high horse, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
I'm
and they're like,
holier
well,
than
it's-
thou.
Yeah, and they'll even do the thing where it's not me, it's God, and it's just like, wow, you know, okay, so you're not a dick, but God is, so you're being a dick to me. I don't get it.
That's what the Bible says, Steve.
Sure.
And, you know, I think that's part of the motivation of me wanting to get closer to my family, because as they are probably persecuted from the outside, they put that back onto me. So in a sense, it kind of feels like they're blackmailing their love towards
Absolutely.
me, you know?
Well, and that's kind of, that's kind of why I wanted to get into this with you. Cause like when you told me that, I was thinking like, you're going through something that you don't believe in to try to be a part of your family, but what are they doing to be a part of your life?
Support, I guess. Emotional support. I have someone to talk to, I
No,
guess.
but I mean, like,
But-
what, like, so you don't go, like, say you're just like, you know what, I'm never gonna go. It'd be like more like my attitude, where it's
Sure.
like, there's no way in hell you're
I
ever
could
gonna get
never
me
be
back in the church.
sarcastic like that to them, you know? Like, anyway, go ahead.
Well, like, so what are they doing to be close to you?
Nothing.
Yeah.
But it's all my own desire to want to have a family and to care about the people that raised me.
Right, but do you think that it's fair for them to make no effort, essentially, and you to put out that effort? Because, like I said, it just kind of goes back to that idea of, like, they're bullying you into their belief because they're unwilling to budge.
Yeah.
So, because that's the thing. It's like, I'm unwilling to budge about going to church,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to go to family dinner, or I'm not going to talk to them all the time, or, whatever.
But what if they don't talk to you? What if they don't allow you in their homes? What
I
if
mean-
they don't allow you to?
I mean, that's something that I
to
can't
answer their phone calls, or
Yeah.
to, what, isn't this their house? Like,
Yeah.
What if they don't want you here then because
Right.
you're not going to church for them?
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying.
So
is
when
like,
they have all this quote unquote power, or leverage, or pull over you, what are you supposed to do?
well, I guess then, do you think that that's very, godly in any sense to
Fuck no.
do that?
Fuck no. But it doesn't matter because they are right in their mind.
Right.
And they're doing it to save my soul. So they are totally justified in whatever methods and tactics they use. As we've seen in the Crusades.
Right. But let's just stamp it with that. Yeah, that's totally true. So
Should we take a break? Or?
yeah, let's refill our beverages and then come back with maybe some more lighthearted talk.
Sounds good.
Podcast.
And Kurt Russell. Oh, dude, he was in Tron, wasn't he?
No, that was
Oh, that's-
Jeff Bridges.
yeah,
or
the
whatever.
dude, the
yeah,
dude.
the dude who's always the dude.
But he kind of looks similar.
In these pictures, I think he does.
All right, let's stop this before we get back into something else.